Do you want to hear the most unfathomable, almost, creation story you've ever heard? The crazy thing about it is it's true. Let's start with the beginning. In the beginning, there was light, because that was the first thing that the first being saw. And in darkness, the first being felt all around them, felt the space that felt like cold, so cold that it felt wet. And the light came as if they were breaking out of a shell. And the sun was so bright back then. The sun never set back then. And this being rose up from that cold as if it was hatched from yolk. This was a melanated being, a melanated womb being, not a woman, because there was no concept of women back then, just like there was no men. This being had XXX chromosomes and O negative blood. This was the first being. And they stood, I want to say, like 700 feet tall. The trees were bigger back then. The animals were bigger back then. Everything was bigger back then. This being was the only being on the planet. And this being had nothing to fear because nothing on the planet could hurt this being. They roamed the earth alone, but not scared and not frightened. Amused and intrigued by nature and the slight imperfection that is nature. That slight imperfection that which allows for space to grow and nuances to happen. When they span around the world, wandering, walking, learning itself and learning nature, learning how to defend itself, learning homogeny with the animals, looking at the sky and never seeing night, but wondering what the sun really was. When this being finally was alone, they began to question their sanity. They began to feel alone. They began to feel like, what's the use and what's it all for? And they manifested a new being. They conjured something within their womb. It was then that they became a progenitor, our first mother, who was a giant womb being, melanated and 700 feet tall. And this being did not need to eat. This was at a time when beings would grow and grow. As they learned, they would grow. As time went on, they just grew. And they did not stop growing. Not even when they were literally on their death throne in a permeated state. They still grew. Through precession cycles, as time went on, this being begat a new being and birthed a new being and bore another being and another being, all of them female, all of them womb beings, and all of them not conceptually man or woman, because that didn't exist, but entity exists, enmity exists. What I call enmity existed, masculinity and femininity. This first being's conjuring of new beings became different personalities, different forms of expression. And every time the Divine Mother begat a new being. The being became smaller, less inclined than the first being. But what I would say the Divine Mother is, loved them just the same, all the while knowing, having an inner knowing of who they were relative to them as the Divine Mother. The Divine's children begat creativity and inventions and started whole sects and philosophies about who they were. The first being lived for over 1,000 years. And as the first being's children begat children begat children, life years began to decrease, almost as if the progeneration of the first being in themselves was actually taking away from representation of life. Almost as if the universe chose this melanated figure, this melanated avatar with a womb, to be its representation of Source incarnate. The universe chose this melanated womb being to be Source incarnate, to deny this fact. It's actually the reason why the world is so subverted today, so that these interdimensional entities who lack a sun, who lack creation, can feel more secure in a world that was designed for a womb being represented by the universe as melanated. But I digress.